Welcome to the Nascar Live Chat with Hamm, the Engine Man. I'm going to wait just a few minutes, get some more people on here, and we're going to talk about some NASCAR, some of the things going on, and looks like we're going to go racing here pretty soon. So I'm going to do a little Q&A, some cold beer, warm beer, talk about the iRace just a little bit that they had recently. I'm kind of over the iRacing thing. I'm ready for the real stuff to get back and talk about some of the announcements and some of the exciting things that I think we're going to be seeing pretty soon. We're going to get right back into it here coming up shortly. So just give me 1 minute to get things lined up with getting some people, getting some friends on here, and I can see your comments, and then I can just comment in live action. So first I have to get my computers going. Actually, they're going. I just have to. So I'm in the WAME studio right here, and I can zoom out here in just a minute and show you the whole backdrop. But this is where I just had my Monday Country Ham Jam, and on the WAME radio, 92.9 and 550. Also check them out, WAMEradio.com. And we might actually have a phone call in today. I think I might have Tom call in. Tom Robinson up in Indiana. So let's see what we can get going here without having the volume turned up on everything. So I've got the computer sitting to my right, and that's where I'm doing my live stream. And I've got this good microphones. And when I have guests throughout this year, I'm going to actually start doing more of that to where I have guests in the studio. And I've got 4 mics set up right here in front of me. And then this one here makes 5. So, I could have that many people in here join us. And I can also take phone calls. So that'll be pretty cool. But being in this new studio, I do definitely plan on having some people call in. That'll be really cool. Actually, look like we got a caller right now. What's up?
How we doing?
Good. How you doing?
We're doing good.
All right. How's things up there in Indiana?
Today, Indiana wasn't too bad.
Well, this is Tom Robinson.
Indiana's
Sorry, I meant to introduce you first.
Yes, sir.
All right. Can y'all hear Tom speaking on the phone? Can y'all hear Tom okay? All right. We'll wait just a second there, Tom. All right, so how's things up there in Indiana?
Indiana's good. Today was a good day. Getting ready to rain the next 2 days, but
yeah,
we can live with that. It's just part of it.
Yeah, pretty much the same here. It's actually right now it's 82 degrees. I'm looking at the clock tower. I know I feel like I'm talking like I'm still on the radio. 82 degrees right here in beautiful downtown Statesville, North Carolina. Well, I usually have to say North Carolina. But anyway, there it is. We have this clock tower. We're in the clock tower building, and we have this temperature thing. It's got the wind speed and humidity and all that kind of stuff. And so
you guys you're 100% in your new building then.
We are, yes. And I'll actually probably turn the camera and give y'all a tour here in just a minute, so you can see what it looks like in here. But it's pretty awesome. I mean, we got a stage set up. We got a drum set, keyboard, and we got plug and play for guitars and anything. Artist comes in, they just plug in and go for it. I could go ahead and give y'all a tour.
Right.
Are you able to watch?
That's right up your alley.
Oh yeah, man, I love it. I love the live music. Like being on the radio is pretty cool. I really enjoy it. Get to work with some good folk. Get to meet a lot of nice people and get to be around a lot of great folks around here. But what I could do is I could actually turn and show everybody the rest of the studio if y'all want to see it. If anybody's interested, let me know. All right. So you're expecting rain up there. It's supposed to rain here tomorrow, and it's going to be in the 60s. So it's not going to be all that great, but that's all right. Beats the alternative. Yep. And
supposed to get down to 32 degrees here Friday. I'm about over that. But
oh yeah, I'm sure. The humidity we've not had any issues with humidity this year, which is a good thing. I mean, so far I'm saying I don't miss that at all. That's the killer part in the summertime is the humidity. Okay, I'm going to go turn the camera. Tom, are you able to see?
No, I am outside making sure I do not drop this phone call. So.
Oh, okay, I got you. So I was going to show. You could go back and watch it, I suppose, if I go ahead and show, give everybody kind of the little tour right quick. So if you want to just hang on the line, if you don't mind,
I'll hang on.
I'll be right back. Well, actually, you know what? While I got you on the phone, let's just talk. I'll come back to that because then maybe you can get on there and watch us too. So, what is let's see, some of the things going on in the NASCAR news these days
Well, I was studying, but before you called,
yes,
and I want everybody's opinion on this because I'm confused.
mm-hmm.
I'm looking at this list, and I said this last year, of all these guys that are up for a nomination to get in the NASCAR Hall of Fame, and I'm sitting there scratching my head thinking, why the heck should, let's say, Ricky Rudd have to be voted into this? Why is the Holman, Moody guys, they're not in this?
Mm-hmm.
Donnie Allison ain't in this. I'm just kind of confused. Didn't know if any of them, anybody listening, knows just how the heck they go about choosing these people.
Yeah.
It's kind of silly to me. I mean, Jeff Gordon, for example, eventually deserved his due,
mm-hmm.
but Jeff Gordon shouldn't be in there right now, in my opinion, before all these other guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I
agree.
That's kind of a peeve of mine.
And you know what? To add to that peeve is the fact that they didn't put Robert Yates in until he was, dying, and then they ended up passing away before he actually, got to. I mean, really.
Agree. Joe Gibbs is in. No offense to Joe Gibbs, but I mean, you know what I mean. I have a problem with all that. But,
To me, it's the Hall of Fame. It's kind of like the people that paved the way for our sport to be great. That made it what it was. That made it better. Like I said, paved the way. And for the next guys coming in, it's just like, how did this guy get in before? Like you said, the Hallman and Moody's, like the people that actually paved the way.
Yeah, I agree. I'll throw another name out there, see what y'all think. I realize Smokey Unick didn't get along with Big Bill France, I believe was his name.
Right.
But don't you all think the service he did for our country, fighting the horse, flying the planes and such, kind of should give him at least a pass by now to at least be on the ballot?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
It's kind of like Pete Rose in the NASCAR or the Baseball Hall of Fame. And he's blackballed for life. And I'm like, that's not right either.
Right. Yeah, I think he's another one that by now he should go ahead and just say, you know what, I think he's learned his lesson. It was in the past. We all make mistakes. But
in his mind, he didn't make a mistake, but whether he did or didn't, I just kind of feel like, he was part of that history. He deserves to be in it.
Right. Yeah. Look what he did.
I can't see what anybody else is. If anybody agrees with me or not, I can't see any of that. But
yeah, I can read to you what they're saying. Actually, I see Darla's on here. What's up, Darla? Nancy Davidson, Chad Hyder, River Rat. They're Dickie Dennis, the fence climber, the infamous fence climber.
Right.
Yes.
I remember that.
Chad Hyder. Did you see the video that I put together of
Yeah. I remember watching that race from home, and the commentator, whoever the hell he was really giving him a hard time. And
it was Alan Bestwick.
And he wasn't impressed, and I'm like, that's pretty impressive.
It was impressive. Yeah, he was pretty mad.
If you've been to a NASCAR race, it's hard to get past these guys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's what being in the military will do for you, see?
That's right.
You know how to do that.
Yeah. River Rat says, did Boyer get suspended for drinking while competing in an iRacing event? I don't know about that. I have not heard.
Well,
Chad,
I'm sure there's a few out there that think he should.
Yeah, I'm sure. Chad Hatter said, me too, Tom. Head scratcher. Yes.
Yeah, it's baffling to me. It's in my honest opinion, let's take our buddy Hutt. No, Hutt didn't win a bunch of races, matter of fact, but Hutt was part of that generation and those guys, the Alabama gang.
Yeah.
And he was a good ambassador to the sport, still is. And if anything, he deserves at least a nod for that, along with Ricky Rudd and all these other guys. I mean, it just floors me. And really, I think it's unfair.
Yeah.
And it's
right.
kind of disgraceful, in my opinion. But
yeah.
That's just,
So, Rachel says, I agree about the nominations for the NASCAR Hall of Fame. I know Ray Fox's family has been fighting for a long time to get him in. He should be too. And Chad Hyder says, yes,
Oh, yeah.
innovation on top of being a top-notch citizen. Yeah, Terry says, time to stop holding grudges. Yeah. And Nancy says, think Pete Rose should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Yeah, look at what he's done for the sport, yes. Definitely for Smokey, I agree, Terry. And, yeah, Smokey, so, he was the guy that made all the changes on their cars and engines, and he was very smart. So he was ahead of his time in the sport, and he basically outsmarted. He made the. He made NASCAR.
The France family.
Yes, he did. He did.
But let's be honest, David. In your era, when you was a jackman, and I don't know if this is true because I need to research it more, but it says here in this little article that one of the most penalized teams in NASCAR was Ray Evernham in the 2014.
Yep.
Now, that was during your era.
Mm-hmm.
Here's one where they got caught running carbon fiber wheels to qualify.
Mm-hmm.
And NASCAR stuck a magnet to the wheel, and it wouldn't stick, and Ray got caught. But you don't hear about all that.
Yeah.
But yet he's in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
So what's the difference?
Oh, yeah, we heard.
So you could, you would know more about that than us.
There's a lot of things when you go to the racetrack, you hear a lot more than what you hear otherwise. I mean, that's a fact. There was a lot of times where they had, better tires for different people, and there was tires that were stuck in the back of the truck versus the front of the truck. The tires will dry out eventually, and just different things like that. But yeah, there was also a lot of nobody liked. I would say most everybody in the garage did not like that 2014 back then. And a lot of that reasons for that, for number one, was they were winning all the time. They were cheating a lot. And the other reason was they didn't travel with any of us. It was kind of like they flew in their own planes everywhere. It was like they were above traveling with, like I flew in with Roush guys. All those teams, Roush had 4 or 5 teams. Back then you could have like 5 teams. We had our 3 Sabco teams. We had Robert Yates and his 2 teams. We flew with those guys and to all the tracks and got on the bus and rode into the track with them. Morgan.
They flew. Was that commercial, or did you get to fly on their private plane?
This was Roush. Well, actually, it wasn't Roush back then. I've flown on Roush's planes later on, like 2004 was the last time I flew on one. But this was the plane that D.K. Oldrich, you remember that name? He bought, and his wife or girlfriend's name was Diane, and she run the deal. She would check us in the plane, but they had airplanes. They would charter regular airplanes, and the airplanes were actually kind of scary. A lot of times they had oil dripping out of the back of the planes, so they were pretty sketchy. And but like Morgan McClure, we flew with those guys, and they drove down from Virginia to the Charlotte airport to fly in that same plane. We had to be there. We had to take off at 5:00 in the morning on a Sunday morning. So yeah, but that was another reason why we didn't really care for those guys. Okay, so Chad says dipping tires. Yeah, I believe that was the other thing that we're doing, which is an old track trick, is softening your tires. And so Scott Treverson says the beer man sends his condolences to Randy Triplett's family on the passing of Randy yesterday. Randy was a great friend. It was unexpected heart attack. Yeah, he was the truck driver for Jeff Gordon. I believe he worked for Mark Martin. Yeah, that was another guy. That was Rob. That was Black. What is his name? Heck, I don't forgot. Terry Quinn. Tell me his name. That was the 88 team had Decker to Gordon and Blacker Decker. In other words, hit him, knock him out, Decker him. I don't know. I'm trying to remember reading what she's saying there. Yeah, I forgot the other guy's name. I didn't know him personally, but I do remember seeing him at the racetrack, as well as Randy Triplett. But yeah, there's 2 hauler drivers in the past a couple of weeks now that passed away. So anyway, that's okay. All right. So anyway, let's go on to some of the NASCAR news. So before, what did you think about Matt Kenseth going into the 42 car, Tom?
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I used to be a huge Matt Kenseth fan. I've never forgave Matt Kenseth for what he did to the 22. So I could give two, you know what, if Matt Kenseth's on the track or not.
Yeah.
From a business stance, I think it was a smart move. The guy's good. The feedback they'll get, and between Kurt Busch and Matt Kenseth, it just really raised the bar for Ganassi racing as far as that goes. But as far as my personal feelings, it is what it is. I gave you a lot of my stuff of his, so that I don't have much use for Matt Kenseth after that.
Yeah, I understand. That was after he wrecked Joey Logano at Martinsville that time. Yeah, that wasn't good. Not good at all.
Yeah, it's kind of silly. I shouldn't feel that way, but I do. So.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I understand. I think that's probably the consensus of most people that are Joey Logano fans, if they're for sure.
Well, Ford fans here. He was our only Ford chance to win that year, and he really had a good chance, and he seemed to if that didn't happen.
Yeah, Nancy Davidson says, I do not like Matt Kenseth. And, yeah, and Scott says Randy was Jeff Gordon's motorhome driver, yes. And he worked over there with, I saw a picture of him with Archie Kennedy, who was the longtime jackman for the 43 car. And I don't remember if he drove some for that team too, but if you didn't know Archie Kennedy, he was kind of one of the short guys that was actually a jackman on pit road. I don't know. That's somewhat of an explanation of him. But all right, so Ryan Newman is granted a waiver to be eligible for the playoffs, and Newman currently sits 29th in points, 54 points behind the 16th. Scott says, no cooking at the racetrack. Crew members bring their own lunches. Yeah, no more Big John Yook, not for a little while. So we had this guy named, his name was Big John. Big John Yook, and he was, I actually got his cookbook. I found it in Lowe's Home Improvement. And he was the guy that would cook. I think he works for Stuart Haas now, cooking, or maybe NASCAR ended up hiring him. I'm not sure. Okay, yeah, Scott says Archie drove the King's bus. That's what it was. And then he jacked on race day. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good deal for Newman. He'll be eligible for the championship, So the following races, all right, so they're going to go back to racing, obviously. They're talking about going to Darlington in time for the points. And I've actually got a copy of this schedule to read out here in just a minute, but it's going to be, they're going to be racing on Wednesdays and then again on the weekend. So, Tom, what do you think about the possibility of them in the future running back at North Wilkesboro?
Oh, I'd like to see it. Yeah.
Have you been to North
I
Wilkesboro?
don't know if it'll happen or not. That's one race. No, I haven't.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But that's part of, I'm one of the old school guys. I think that it needs, if they can make it happen, it ought to happen.
Yeah.
Along with the Nashville, they need to bring back Nashville, and I'd like to see them bring back IRP.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Right. Yeah. IRP was an interesting track. But that was such a small. We used to have to park everything outside of the track and pull in the toolboxes and everything. So Nancy says, I meant Matt and Ryan. She said that she didn't think that he should have gotten a waiver. I was kind of thinking the same thing. Why would they give Matt Kenseth a waiver to run for the championship? I don't know. That's just there's 4 races in.
But, yeah.
It kind of goes along with the same line of I'm just going to say it when Kyle Busch won the championship after breaking his ankle. I don't know.
I wasn't for that.
Right. Yeah, and I'm sure
to be honest, I wouldn't have been for that if he drove a Ford. He either run them all or you don't.
Yep.
And he didn't.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And what's up, Brad Downard? He's joined us. Hello, everyone. How's the weather? It's cold in Ohio, and Chad Hyder's on here too. He's in Ohio. Yep, it's
that's high, boys.
It's still cool. It's going to be 41 degrees tomorrow night. It's like, what in the world? So NASCAR has not yet said how many cars will line up to race with no qualifying, possibly by points at first. Then it will be determined. Yeah, somebody else asked me that question. How are they going to run? How are they going to line up? So I guess by points at first until they figure something out, because they're going to do the events in a 1 day deal. Just do it all in 1 day.
Well, I got to applaud NASCAR for doing what they got to do. I mean, these guys need to get back to work and.
Yeah. I agree with that,
jobs,
man.
So to speak, Talk to our friend Rusty Adams, who's I forget what Rusty's actual job is, but he does work on the 22 team. He went back to work for Penske today.
Yeah.
He said with a lot of stipulations and guidelines, which we go through that at the fire department, so I know how he feels
Mm-hmm.
on all that. But at least they're back.
Right. And you know, talking about them guys getting back to working on the cars, I know it was you know they had to take their vacations, they had to take their paid holidays, they had to take all this time off, you know, like up to 3 weeks or whatever, and then they're told when they go back to work that they're going to be working 7 days a week most likely, and so yeah, they're definitely ready to go back. And Chad, that's right, he does the interior for the 22. Yeah, I believe so, because he's a kind of a small guy. I'd say he does the interior and some of the fabrication stuff. So some of the things, let's see, some tracks will lose a race or races. NASCAR has to speak with those people first before letting be known which ones. So they still plan to run 3 series races for Cup, Xfinity, and trucks. Nancy says heard they were lining up by owners' points, and Kevin Harvick is first. All right. So NASCAR has made technical changes as a result of Newman's accident at Daytona. They've added some different stuff. You can go online and see the different things that they've added to make the car safer. I would say that was pretty incredible that he survived that anyway, because I really didn't think that he was going to be okay.
I agree.
Yeah.
I thought he was. I didn't think. I thought he was a goner.
Yeah.
So to speak.
The way it landed right on the top, right above the driver. So the. Go ahead, Tom.
Oh, I was just say I'm just glad there's. I'm not a big iRacing fan.
Yeah.
No offense, Chad, but I'm just glad to see some real racing coming up, as I call it. So it gives me something to do through the week and on the weekends.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I know Brad Downer's the same way. So.
Chad said it sounded like a bomb went off. So I don't know if he's talking about on the track or if he's talking about here. The problem with being in this studio, though, is you can hear motorcycles going by, and it sounds almost like they're inside the building, but we're right in the center of town. And like I said, I'll show you here in just a little bit. So don't let me forget. Whenever I get off the phone with Tom, I'll show you all around. But they're going to do the changes. They're going to come down from 30 to 40 horsepower from 510 horsepower for Daytona and Talladega. So that'll be a different. Oh, and then the other thing that we're talking about. Go ahead, Tom.
I don't like that.
I know you don't.
Nope.
So, all right. So Linda says, I thought that too. Oh, sounded like a bomb went off. All right. David, is the other guys you was thinking, trying to think of Tommy Mullis. That's right. The Dale Jarrett 88 hauler driver was Tommy Mullis. Yes. Yes. Thank you for that. I was trying to remember his name. And then Scott says, Beerman thinks that Sonoma, Chicago, and Kansas is going to lose a race. I would say, though, it's going to have to be some of those that have 2 races, because now at this point it's almost not fair. Plus, you're not going to have fans in the stands. So, you know, even if they do later on in the year, I still think a lot of people are going to be staying away because they're just going to be like, you know what, I'm not going to take a chance and whatever. So Paul says iRacing.
We're hoping for a vaccine or something that's more consistent that helps everybody across the board with this virus. But this virus is here to stay, so we're going to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
It's like the flu and everything else. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the way it is right nowadays. So Chad is talking about how Newman sounded at Daytona, bomb going off. Yes. And so he said, Chad says, put 1,000 horsepower back on these cars and make those teams figure out how to get those cars to travel through and off the turns. Yeah. I mean, we got soft walls, so, you know, let them run. Paul says, is there a dial? Is there a dial on the dash to set the horsepower? Nah. I mean, you can do it with a computer, but most of the times they try to, you know, get it dialed in as much as possible. But really, the adjustments there are for the, you know, barometric pressure, the temperature, and, you know, what you need with the fuel mixture, things like that. So, but we were talking about, you know, I had Chris, one of my buddies from Roush Yates, working with me the past couple weeks for a few days each week, and he finally went back to work. So, but they're talking about this is something I had mentioned before. Why didn't maybe they could cut out some of these how many engines you have to have a sealed short block for. So apparently they went and changed it from 13 engines down to 8. So every year they keep increasing this to try to cut back on cost. And basically what it means is you've got what's called what a short block is the engine when you pull the heads off. That's the pistons, the crank, the rods, obviously, oil pan, all that stuff. So that's the bottom end. That's a short block. So when you put heads on it, it becomes a long block. So NASCAR is saying you can't take the oil pans off these engines. You can't change the cam. You can't do any of this stuff. So you have to run that short block, which in turn saves money for the teams because you don't have to put new pistons in, all new parts. I mean, we run a lot of the same parts over again, but you run new bearings, new pistons. So they're cutting it down to only telling them they have to run 8 short blocks. So, and my notes here says, in other words, instead of teams using a previously used engine in 13 of their choosing, teams will not have to do so in 8. So for sealed reused engines, teams could only change the valves, heads, cylinder heads and springs. So that's it. And they're going to run we're talking about North Wilkesboro. They're going to run that iRace there at next Saturday at 3 p.m. So if you're interested in watching that might be kind of interesting. I don't know how they got the track configuration. Did they do it is that why they went out there and cleaned it up so they could go out there with the cameras or whatever they used to get the track configuration? I haven't been watching a lot of it. I watched some of it, but I'm sure it's interesting. Nancy Davison says iRacing has actually been quite funny. I'm sure it probably is in a way, but to me, it's just not the same as the real thing. I mean, obviously it's not. I know it's not to y'all either, but I just I've been so busy trying to get caught up this spring so far. So Terry says, Paul, you know what a NASCAR fan I am, and I haven't watched any iRacing. Yes. And Paul says, for when they cut back the HP back, is there a dial on the dash? Yeah. No, I don't know about that, Paul. That might be something that they're maybe considering in the future, but they can adjust other things, but not the engine horsepower. No, Scott says you're not going to know the difference between 201 and 190. Yeah. No, it's not going to be that. It's not going to be that big. You probably won't even notice. I mean, have we really noticed the difference in what they've done so far? We're cutting back on the horsepower and stuff. Okay, so Paul says, Terry, go ahead, Tom. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, some tracks I have to disagree. You can see a difference, especially if you're there.
Oh, I was going to ask, what is it like when you're there? Because I haven't actually experienced that myself yet.
Well, at Michigan, for example, before they cut all the horsepower out, I mean, the motors had a totally different sound as they come down. I got to see Logano come down the front stretch at 202 mile an hour.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see.
Bristol's loud, but I had to get up and walk up to the top because it like it broke my eardrum. But it was pretty cool. Last one I went to, no, there's not a big difference, but there's a difference. But I'm kind of like David. I pay attention to that crap, so I see it.
I would say probably at tracks like Atlanta, you could probably tell a difference too. Yes, and Michigan and places, yeah. So Anthony Flynn, what's up, buddy? Joining in with us. He works over at Roush Yates Engines. He says you are the best, man. Man, I miss you, brother. I might have to get out there and come see you sometime. So yeah. And then Chad says, yes, MIS was weird. So we're talking about the iRacing Dover race. I guess William Byron picked up his third iRacing win at Dover. He led 79 of 150 laps.
Never heard of him.
Yes. So, all right, Tom. Well, I think that you got any more comments, questions, anything you want to talk about?
No, sir.
All right.
No, sir.
Well,
everything else will be R-rated, so we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I know. I forgot to give you the disclaimer. That would be, but you did good.
Right.
I think you already know that.
I did good.
Yes, you did good.
Everybody take care. I'm going to go in and listen to the rest of your show.
All right. Well, hang on just 1 minute, Tom. Scott's got a question. He says, Tom, did you ever hear that engine off that Ford car from Sterling Marlin, the one that Rut Pittman built? Runt Pittman, yeah. It says Rut, but it's, he knew Runt Pittman. Probably spelled check.
I probably did, but to be real honest, if it wasn't a Robert Yates engine, I didn't pay no attention to it because I'm all about them. So
It's yeah,
but
the 4 car. Sounded a lot like an Indy car
I,
engine.
yes, I remember him talking about it. Also, I remember the big hoopla when Ernie Elliott was building motors, and
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
he was a force to be reckoned with, man. It was just the bottom line there.
Yeah. I remember. Do you remember whenever they were having some issues with the blowing head gaskets? I remember that,
Yes,
and it specifically
who remembers
maybe.
Bob? Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say specifically maybe around 90. I don't know, maybe 1990 or something. I remember coming down pit road and putting that silica. Oh heck, I should have looked that stuff up before I said anything. But it's the stuff that's supposed to seal up the engine inside if you have head gaskets going. What were you going to say?
I was going to ask you, Scott, and you, and whoever else. Do y'all remember when Bob Glidden was trying to get into the NASCAR engine building business? Jeff
Um,
Bodine.
huh. Yeah, I'm not sure.
He didn't fare very well, but he did. Bob Glidden tried to build some NASCAR motors. He had a pretty good qualifying engine, being the drag racing mind, but his motor didn't. The duration
Yep.
from there.
Do you remember about what year that was?
I'm trying to think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember exact years, but Jeff Bodine had his own team.
Okay.
So Scott may remember that.
Yeah.
I know when Jack and Robert were having horsepower wars. And the reason I know this is my brother worked next door to Glidden. So anyway, Jack Roush asked him to build a set of heads specifically for Jack Roush's intake. And Bob built them the way he wanted to, and Jack Roush took a bandsaw and cut Bob's heads up in 4 pieces and mailed them back to him.
Oh wow.
So,
Gosh.
and told him this. And I thought that was kind of funny.
That is funny. I could see him doing that too. You know.
Jack, they said, wasn't happy about it. So
Yeah.
he wanted it done his way, not Bob's way.
Yeah. Jack's a pretty tough guy.
Scott probably. Oh yeah, Scott probably. Beer Man remembers. He'll know what I'm talking about with Bob Glidden's motor.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just trying to remember that because so Paul Rodriguez says I heard that IndyCar sound at Dover on the 4 car for sure. Chad says 95ish. You know, I was in 95 and I was just trying to remember. It's been so long ago. I mean, think about it. It's been 30 years ago. Now, how long ago is it? 25 years. Sorry. I was 5 out of 4 people have trouble with math, you know, so.
Well, back then, every team built about their own engines. There were so many.
Yeah.
A lot of good engine builders out there don't get no recognition. So.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, I was back in the day when you did everything. You didn't have all these this CNC machines doing. I mean, you did buy pistons from other manufacturers, whatever, but you just didn't have. You had to do things the old way with the old mills and lathes and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, welders.
We had
We
that conversation over pit crews, and I upset that feller over that. But you can't compare.
Yeah, you'll have
the
that.
new guy to what you did. No comparison.
No. You know, hours and hours we spent back in those days, like welding intake manifolds and trying to get more power from the restrictor plate engines, and the engines were a completely different animal. Now, nowadays you don't even have the issue. It's just like, okay, totally different ball game. But yeah, everything's different. Of course, I don't know. We could talk about that. That could be a whole other conversation.
Yeah,
and we
I could rattle on for hours.
And we could probably offend some people, couldn't we, Tom?
Oh yeah,
with our opinions.
Especially for a non-Ford fan.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, thank you so much, Tom. Everybody else is saying thank
All
you.
right.
And I'm going to.
Everybody, take care.
You too, buddy. Talk to you later on. All right. So wait on Tom to get back on and sign in with us. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the camera and show you. And I'll show y'all. I'm going to turn this off. Sorry. I'll turn the camera and show y'all what we have here in the studio and how it looks. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool setup. We have a stage behind us, and then we have the whole sitting room. So hopefully someday y'all can come in and visit, and then we'll play some music for you. So hold on 1 minute. I'll be right back. Okay, so this is the entrance to the new studio. So if you can see right straight ahead, this was a bank building at one time, and I believe this building was built somewhere around in the late 1800s, 1890, 1889, something like that. And so we have actually got some historic pictures lined up on both sides of the walls of the actual building from many years ago. That red light up there in the window is actually a red light from the original WFMX radio tower down in Charlotte. So that used to hang on a tower for the radio station down in Charlotte. And then we have all the soundproofing in here, and I'll turn the camera now and show you what the stage looks like. All right, so I'm gonna turn it a little bit more. Yeah, so this is our stage setup. That's where we have bands that can come in and plug and play. And then back here is the lobby area. There's my desk right over there. My sign says Hamm, kind of a big deal. All right, so that's it. We just pull this curtain when we're having our show. Oh, I didn't show you the banner over here. All right, one more thing. All right, this is where we sit. This is where. All right, so this is where we sit when we have our Thursday and Friday radio show with the Chillbillies. We call the Friday Fiesta, and then the Thursday Drive at 5. And that's our backdrop banner for the WAB Chillbillies. All right, and I'm sure y'all recognize Mr. Ric Flair right there. I'm sure if he probably saw that, he'd be expecting some royalties. Don't know if y'all seen anything about Ric Flair lately. He actually does those cameo where you can get a picture taken with, or I'm sorry, where he'll do a little small video for you. It's like $500 that he'll do a shout out to you. How about that? And that's on an app called Cameo. So if y'all like a shout out for your birthday from Ric Flair, just give up your $500 and get that shout out. So, Chat Hider. Dave moved slowly. I've had a couple of Moscow mules. There you go. I was actually texting with Chad today. So Chad is looking for sponsorship, if that's all right for me to say, I'm sure it is, for his, all right, something that he's doing that has to do with racing. So if y'all want to help Chad out, then send him a message. So we'll work on that. We'll let him. Actually, Chad, just tell us right here what you're looking for. Chad's one of our friends. We'll help him out all we can. Scott says, I enjoyed the iRacing. I sit right in front of the TV, turn it up to full volume, and drink cold beer as fast as I can. It's awesome. Dover was a great race. There you go. Scott, here's my problem is on the weekends, it's like I try to play catch up. So anyway, yeah, thanks, Chad. He says a pretty sharp place. Yes. Yeah, we're actually, what's up with the drummer? Yeah, we need a drummer in here. We need actually someone that can just come in and just play at will. They have only been played one time, and that was one of our local drummers. So look at the banner in the clock tower. Yeah, the banner is, so the banner is our clock tower stage, and you can actually be a sponsor of that stage. If you'd like to sponsor, send us some money. and we'll put your name on that stage, and you will get all the shout outs and everything else. You can be a small sponsor, and I believe it's only like $400 a month, something like that. So that's really not too bad of a deal. And you can have your name on that stage. Check us out on WAMEradio.com. So if you want to check out my other, let's see, go to DHammIM.com is my website. And you can get a link to all of my different social medias and things like that. But, I just do this little chat for fun. We talk about NASCAR and talk amongst our NASCAR friends and, just kind of a way to keep together and keep talking about the thing that, NASCAR is one of the sports that we love. And of course, I worked in NASCAR as 25 years as an engine builder and 7 years as a jackman in the Cup and the Busch Series. So I like to keep kind of still feel like I'm a part of it. All right. So Chad's saying, so I joined a NASCAR league. It's looking for sponsors to sponsor racing events. So Chad says they broadcast our races on Facebook, and your business or logos will be broadcast as well. I can send further information if interested. Oh, also will be driving the 21 Wood Brothers car, of course. Very cool. And Terry says like a sponsor on NASCAR. Yes. So Chad says powered by Roush Shades, of course. That's right. All right. So anybody got any questions? We'll do a little Q&A right now. So I'm looking forward to going back to the regular NASCAR racing. I really think it's going to be a cool deal whenever they start back, because I think that the stands won't be full, obviously, but I think that people will really be watching it on TV and being behind it, being back. So it'll be very good. So anyway, but y'all, thank you so much for tuning in. I think we'll go ahead and head on off of here. I'm going to go get to the house. I'm a little bit tired right now. I just had my radio show, the Monday Country Ham Jam, from 5 till 6:15ish here just a little bit ago. So I'm starting to get a little bit tired, and I've worked on a lot of stuff on the computer this morning. Just been working on trying to get some things rolling now that we got live music coming back in here, and I've got to fix the kitchen sink. So if anybody wants to volunteer to come over and fix my kitchen sink, that would be great. Thank you very much. I'm sure my wife would be happy about that. And congratulations on passing your driver's test there, Chad. Oh, yes, Kit and Paul. Thank you so much for sending me that 4 car. I should have brought that in to show you as a show and tell. But she said she got Paul says Kit got an email from Pocono stating that this is still scheduled, but not sure how it will play out. Yeah, because they were going to do 2 races on that weekend, so it just didn't happen. Chad says, thanks, Hams. Thanks, everyone. Thanks to Tom for calling in. Yes, absolutely. Thanks to Tom for calling in. That was interesting. And we'll keep it going. I'll get some other folks calling in and coming into the studio and stuff. I just kind of wanted to make sure I wanted to do a test this week and to make sure everything was going to work okay before I go and try to do this and have issues with phone calls and things not working out. Now I've got all that figured out, so we should be in good shape for me to have, guests and phone calls and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, it still works, just inconvenient and can't control pressure. Yeah, I guess the cold water's back on again. That was a miracle this morning. I turned the valve and the cold water was working. I had it shut off. We were using the hot water for a while, but yes, thanks, Chad. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Rachel, for all you do, and Terry and Tracy. And so Terry says, I heard they still plan to do a Pocono doubleheader. So we'll see. What about North Wilkesboro? I think that's just a talking about in the future. So it's going to take a lot of money to get that track up and going again. I haven't really heard anything concrete about it. They're going to run the iRace there. I know that. That's obviously an iRace, so it's not really. No, Scott, it's not a Drano issue. The water won't turn off on the faucet, and I've replaced the valve, and then several months later it does it again. It's just one of those things, or it works for a little while and then quits. So we ended up I bought a whole new faucet. And so now I just kind of need the tool to get up in there, whatever. I think I actually found some tools that I had that will work to get up. It's just, how it's hard to get up in there and do that big nut up under there. It's hard to get this nut to climb up under there and get that nut. So River Rat says, have you heard anything about Junior trying to get a movement going to bring it back. I have heard that. Yes, I have heard that. And he was saying something about going up there and cleaning it up. It's something he'd already done. And I don't know if that was doing something to prepare for the iRace. Like they had to clean the track off so they can take their cameras and go around the track, or, to make it more realistic. I don't know. So we'll see. Tracy says, have to turn off water supply to faucet or it still runs. Yeah. Scott, you can call in right now if you want to. But I can text you the number. You ready to talk? You tell me and okay, River Rat, you come down. You're a plumber. You love water. Even if the water's running on you, it'll be like splash dance. All right. Yeah, Scott, go ahead and give us a call. You want me to text you the number? Do you have it? Let's see here. I can send you the number. I don't want to say it over here because, I might start getting all kinds of calls from people that I don't even know. All right. We can do another test. We'll have Scott call in. All right. I just texted you the number. Let's give it a trial. Okay. All right. All right. We're just waiting on the phones to light up. Waiting on Beer Man to give us a call. Give us a call right now. 704-8. That number. The number I texted you is the right number. And I'm waiting. All right. So, yeah, this makes what I would normally say is this makes for good radio when I don't have anything to talk about. But we have this thing called the impossible question, and it's your chance to win valuable prizes by answering the impossible question. And so I'll sit here and I'll ask the question, and then I'll wait for the phones to light up. And they typically light up pretty quick. And then I'll say, good morning, what is your answer? And then they give me their answer, and then that's it. Does anybody have a question I could ask right now? I could do the impossible question. I don't know. Scott must be out on the ocean because he's not calling me. He said, when am I going to get the call? And I'm giving you your so I'll just go ahead and do some warm beer, cold beer for that iRace. Cold beer, William Byron won his third race. Timmy Hill finished third and has 3 of top finishes in the top 3, whatever. Chad Hyder says, win a Ric Flair hello worth $500. All right, so Denny Hamlin gets a cold beer. He made it to the finish line this time after being kicked offline by his daughter last week when she pressed the button on the remote. He finished 6th instead of last. I do remember that. That was kind of funny, actually. Okay. Denny. Oh, I said that already. So warm beers, Matt DiBenedetto finished last. Look at this. We got a caller. Good afternoon. Hey.
Good afternoon. Am I the caller?
Hey.
Number 9, am I a winner?
What? Good morning or good evening. What is your answer? Oh,
David Hamm is my favorite DJ of all time.
That's it. You're the winner. Ding, ding, ding. You have won a valuable prize. We will get you a $5 gift certificate to Randy's Barbecue in the mail.
All right.
Yes, that's
good.
That's pretty much the standard prize, but that's all right. It's something that's more than you had before, right? $5. Yeah, so we got Scott Trevison, the beer man, on the phone with us. What you up to down there?
Yep.
Somebody was asking if you were in the boat.
I'm headed back to the house right now, and just full sunset and cruising down the road, getting ready to take C-Tunes out for a little ride. I think you're doing a great job with your NASCAR live chat show. I think it's awesome.
Well,
and I think tell your friends.
Well, thank you. It's good when you're here, and I think that from now on, whenever we do these chats, we will just kind of wing it. And I've got some notes that tell me some of the specs and different things, but I think it's probably better just to interact with people and just roll with it, right?
That's right. I can't wait to come up and see you. And I think you need to start learning how to play drums, bro.
Oh, yeah. Tyler was in here earlier, and he was banging on them a little bit, and I said, why don't you learn to play the drums?
That's right.
Scott, I don't know if I'm coordinated enough because I can't bounce my foot. I can't tap my foot and then you know what I mean? I can't brush my teeth and tap my foot at the same time, so I don't know.
Wow.
I mean,
you can take live callers. This is so cool, man.
Ain't it?
And I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, the iRacing, you got to give it a chance. You got to wait till your wife is out of the room, turn up the TV as loud as you can and pull the chair right in front of it and drink as much cold beer as you can, because those races don't last very long, man. And then before you know it, you got to go back outside and cut the grass. So I think it was great. I think we're learning a lot during this COVID situation, and I think when these go back racing, we're going to have I think it's going to be 7 races in 10 days between Darlington and Charlotte, and you better hold on, because we're going to get a whole lot of racing.
Man, that's a whole lot of beer, isn't it?
That's a whole lot of beer. That's right, baby.
Yeah.
That's right.
There's,
and Saturday's North Wilkesboro race is going to be at 3 o'clock on the Fox, the big mother channel, the big Fox, okay?
Wow.
So make sure you watch it. Turn it up real loud. That's what Dale Jr. did. They scanned it, and they cleaned it off, and I think it's going to be a neat little deal. They're going to have all the old signs, the Winston Cup signs, the First Union signs.
Yeah.
Wait till you see it, and then the rest of the rest of the iRacing people will be able to purchase it. But this is going to be a first, and it's good. It's a dirt track on asphalt. That's what I tell people North Wilkesboro's like, because you're sliding that car up on the top of the hill, sliding at the bottom of the hill. Because remember, it's on an angle. Remember, turns 1 and 2 are down low, and turns 3 and 4 are up on top of the hill. It's not a flat oval, so that makes North Wilkesboro one special track. So I'm sure we'll be drinking a couple of cold ones next Saturday. And remember, it's Sunday on Mother's Day, so don't forget.
That's right.
Sunday, Mother's Day. Don't forget. I think Tracy wanted a weed eater or a blower or a lawn blower or something. She's telling me. So
well, okay. So speaking of Tracy, that is the problem. So if I'm going to sit in front of the TV and turn it up, first of all, she's probably going to be watching something that I don't want to watch, and the other thing is she's not going to want me drinking beer, at least not in the house. So I might.
But it's at least 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Well, all right. Here's option B. I've got a TV out in my shop. And
there you go.
And it can get loud too, so I can crank that thing up.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you.
Yes.
I'm telling you, man. John Hunter Nemechek is tearing it up. A little bit Denny Hamlin and him got involved towards the end of yesterday's race. And I don't know if you noticed, but John Hunter, he backed off, waiting for them to come back around. And when Denny Hamlin came around, it was curtains for the 11 car, buddy. It was cool.
Well, I would have liked to see
And another thing, and one more thing. I know you're running on time.
No, you're
I
fine.
predict that they're going to run all them old timers. They're going to get Ricky Rudd, Dale Jarrett, Kyle Petty. I'd like to even see Donnie Allison or Bobby Allison out there, and they're going to run some old timers in the iRacing. You watch them. When they bring fans back to the track, they're going to have rigs out there with iRacing rigs on them, and this iRacing thing is going to be big, taking off in the future. But they're going to have them old timers. It's going to be awesome. Maybe they get you in there to be a pit man.
Yeah, maybe. But I'm not following what you're saying. They're going to have them racing.
They're going to have a bunch of old retired guys, instead of sticking them out there in cars and killing themselves.
Yeah.
They're going to sit behind these rigs and race.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I get it now. Okay. Yeah. So,
Dude.
Wow.
Wouldn't you like to see Donnie and Bobby Allison and Kayla Yarborough out there racing?
Now that would actually be really cool to see that for sure. And they would they would be having a good time with it too.
Yeah, baby.
Very
That'd
cool.
be some fun stuff. So NASCAR's looking bright for the future, and I think you're doing a great job, and I hope you get more exposure on your NASCAR live chat show.
I'm working on it. You know what? Hopefully the hope is to be on the radio with it eventually. So I think that'll definitely get
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get Billy Buck on the radio.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that's and the other thing is I'm planning to get some interviews and things. You know, tonight I said this is the first time in the new clock tower building. I wanted to try it out, make sure I can take phone calls. You know how it was in the other studio. I couldn't get it to work. You know, it would work, then it wouldn't work. So now it wasn't really working. So now I'm logged in and it's working just fine, and I don't see any problem.
So you're saying that the COVID-19, the positive out of the COVID-19 problem was you got your stuff all squared away, and now They
Yeah.
drop the green flag.
Well,
You'll be ready to go.
You know,
There you go.
I can explain the actual problem that I had in the other studio, and I could blame it on COVID-19. That would be the easy way. But I could explain. Yes, I think probably the biggest thing is now that we've gotten into this new studio, I've got us hooked up with YouTube versus getting booted off of Facebook. 10 times a day it seemed like, because we're playing music. So now we're on YouTube, and now when I set the stream up for our OBS studio, I can leave it on streaming YouTube instead of having to switch it over to Facebook and take a chance. So anyway, basically I run the microphones right through the computer and all that stuff through the OBS. You might not understand what I was just saying. I could explain it better, but it doesn't really matter.
No. All I'm thinking, and all about all your fans on YouTube, is it's all about NASCAR.
Yeah.
Dude, it's going to be cool. All the drivers are going to be in their motorhomes, and they're going to be on the Zoom platform for the drivers' meeting. And then it's going to be like, okay, drivers to the cars. They're going to come running out with their gloves and their helmets on, like totally sealed, run to their cars, get in their sealed NASCAR race cars and race, and then jump out and go back to their motorhomes. No victory lane, no nothing. It's going to be it's going to be weird these first couple of races, but you know what? Once they drop the green, it's all going to look good, and no practice, no qualifying. It's going to be something. I hear they're going to have qualifying for the Coke 600, so that'll be interesting. But I will get back home to see you soon. I'm getting ready to plan another trip, but I'm getting ready to plan to come back up there. So
I'll
go up there and I'll tear up that stage.
Yeah, and I mean, actually, we're supposed to be coming down there to see you here soon, sometime.
Well, you better hurry up because I'm leaving next week.
All right, well, we'll see you next week. You come on up. We'll come down. I think we did end up putting it off till sometime in June. I might have to ask Tracy. I'm already in trouble because she said that's not true when I said earlier. So,
you'll find me. I'll be somewhere in Florida.
Yeah, no, it's fine. She pretty much keeps up with my calendar. Oh, I know when we're coming down there for her birthday. So that's in June.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're in June.
Oh,
okay.
There we go.
Yeah. So I got it now. I can't forget that. So May, June. I've got another month. But I'll see you before then.
Okay.
So
all right.
All right. Thanks for calling in there, Scott. You take care.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Tell Jen I said hello.
All right.
All right,
thanks
buddy.
to everybody out there on the radio. We'll see y'all.
See you, man.
Love you, mean it.
Love you, mean it.
See you.
See you, bud. All right, so that was Scott Trevison, a.k.a. the Beer Man, right there on live and local with us. Well, not local. He's down in Florida, so he was over in, let's see, Paul's over in Port St. Lucie, something like that. Scott lives in DeLand. So Rusty at Bristol Money, yes. Yeah, Rusty Wallace won a lot of races at Bristol. I do remember that. And River Rat says, awesome idea, Tyler on the drums, yes. And Tracy got me, I'm in trouble, it looks like, because she says, not true, David Hamm. All right, fine. All right, so Tracy says June 13, yes. Okay, well, thank y'all so much for tuning in, and we'll see y'all again next Monday. And if you want to check out my other videos, you can, all that kind of stuff. So, I got all kinds of stuff going on, I'm in all the different directions and such. But y'all have a great rest of the week. I mean, it is just Monday, so have a awesome week. And we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in.